All right, in this last video before the first unit exam, we're gonna do that unpackaging idea that there is in fact a culture of honor in the United States. Why is that true? Let's kind of look at it, find out where it comes from, and see where the evidence leads us. Okay? Um, since 300 years, people that come to the United States, they see the South is more violent. It accepts violence more. It has more violence than the North does. Um, there's just so much to it. Even the first time I ever really came to the South was for a job interview at Houston, and when they put on a sign in the building that said "No guns allowed in the building," I still remember that sign. Okay, people from the North, when they see a sign like that, they're just like, "You have to tell people not to bring guns into the building." Are you sure? So it's clearly this has been going on for a long time. Okay? And there's been a variety of people that have come up with various accounts for why there's more violence in the South, um, including the fact that say the South is hotter, and there was a history of slavery in the South. But these have mostly been the evidence hasn't supported them for why there's this culture of honor. So instead, one account is the fact that you go back to the early parts of the Southern history, and you go, well, different parts of America were settled by distinctly different types of people from different parts of the world. And one of the biggest groups of people that settled the southern part of the United States were the Scots Irish. And the Scots Irish were actually an interesting group. When England tried to subjugate Ireland, to turn Ireland into part of the United Kingdom back, and did so in 1707. But when they did, they found that they had a lot of rebellion on their hands over in Ireland. So they took some of the most rebellious of the Irish and they settled them into Scotland. Okay. And these Scots Irish were then stuck in an area that was poor for farming. There was no farmland, and so they became herders. They herded sheep, most particularly sheep. Okay. And so the notion that Nisbet and Cohen said is if you are a herder, if your wealth is in the form of a flock of sheep, what can happen is you could go to bed at night and you could go to bed rich. You have a huge flock of sheep, and somebody comes in and steals your entire flock of sheep and they walk away and you are now poor. Okay. This doesn't happen for farmers. Whether if you're a farmer, you go to bed and somebody steals an apple. I don't know. It's just you can't walk away with your wealth. And so in this concept where you could lose your entire wealth overnight, says Nisbet and Cohen, is you should set yourself up with a reputation. I am a badass. If you mess with me, I will kill you. All right. And to establish this relationship proactively before problems happen, to make everybody know if you mess with me, I will take care of it. And so this is the logic. So yeah, so some of the archival evidence has shown that in the South, right? Well, this is I guess in all of the country. If you go to areas that are moist plains, that is places where farming is most productive, or hills and dry areas, places where herding would be more efficient, you find a hugely different murder rate in different parts of America where farming is prevalent and herding is prevalent. In some surveys, they some a company, probably not a company, survey company, it says survey company, probably researchers. And what they did was they talked about a guy named Fred, and somebody had insulted Fred, or Fred, somebody had raped his daughter, whatever. And so then they asked people, what should Fred do? All right. And so here is the response to the somebody raped Fred's daughter. So what should Fred do? And so in the Midwest, only 10% of people said, yeah, I think Fred is very justified. He should go out there right now and just shoot the dude. And in the South, it was double. And here, Fred really wouldn't be culture of honor, right? Fred really wouldn't be a man if he didn't go shoot him in the face, you know? And again, the responses in the South were twice as high as in the North. Not only do they advocate violence, but they advocate the notion that you can't really be a man if you're not violent. Okay? Some experimental evidence was kind of interesting. Was they took students at the University of Michigan, and they found some that grew up in the North and some that grew up in the South. So they come in with these cultural differences, and what they did was they insulted them. Well, half of them. They insulted half of them. And so then what they found here is if what they measured here on these two different graphs is cortisol and testosterone. So cortisol is the stress response, and testosterone is more of an aggression hormone. And you can see in the control condition in both graphs, if you grew up in the North, grew up in the South, I mean, stress hormones don't matter, nothing changes. But if you insult somebody that grew up in the South, look at the stress hormones, the cortisol spikes. Look at the testosterone level, spikes. People in the South were angry, very angry when they were insulted. Not only that, but they wanted to take it even further, and so they took this insult thing. And so they measured participants. They were walking down, they set up a setup where they were going down a narrow hallway. And then they set it up so that there was a football player, a big University of Michigan football player coming straight at them. Okay? And now this hallway was real narrow, and the only way that this can work is if, one sort of gives way to the other, and the football player was instructed, you walk, you do not give way, you just go down the hallway. And so the question was, how close does the football player get before our participants actually go like, after you, sir, when do they make that happen? And if they were not insulted, you can see on the left side, they showed almost like a Southern charm. After you, sir, kind of a real nice thing. But if they had been insulted, and you can't see it, well, I can't see it, it's under my face on the video. But if they were insulted, the bar is very small, very short. And what happens is they were just like, they got almost nose to nose with the football player before they finally backed off. They were not just angry, they were ready to fight. It didn't even matter that it wasn't even the person that insulted them. And in further studies with field research, they put together this scenario where a man was convicted of manslaughter. Okay, he was convicted of manslaughter and is now out on parole and is looking for a job. Okay, and so what they did was they had this guy send a letter, and what happened was two different conditions. One in which they killed. They were convicted of stealing a car, and the other one was an honor condition. Yes, I did in fact, and here's the letter. Yes, I did in fact kill this person, but it was an accident, and I was defending my honor because the man was insulting my fiance, saying things about her that I could not let stand. So in one case, it was just stealing cars, and the other one was defending my honor. So when they send these letters to different companies in the North and the South, you can see in the control side on the right side, if it was for, and then they scored the responses. These employers would send back letters, and they would score them how warm the responses were. And you can see on the right side that it was straightforward. If you were stealing a car, North, South, nothing, no change. But on the left side, if companies received the honor letter, I was defending my honor, you can see distinctly, clearly, 3 times as warm. The responses were just, I understand where this comes from. It could happen to anyone. Here, a Northern employee, an employer that receives, I committed manslaughter, but I was defending my honor. They go, we don't hire felons. Okay. In the South, as for your problem, anyone could be. It's unfortunate. Your honesty shows us you're sincere. Once you're settled, come find us. It was like, Holy man. So they did not view the crime in the same way. In the North, crime equals crime. In the South, crime in defense of honor is understandable, justified, and in fact, a good thing. Okay?